English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners. Welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast. This is Anna, and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Yes, and this is Jack. We're so happy to have you here with us today.
Today's episode is all about memory tips for vocabulary. And let me tell you, this is something that every language learner struggles with at some point.
That's absolutely true. I remember when I was learning Spanish back in college, I would memorize a list of words one day, and then the next day, poof, they'd be gone from my memory. It was so frustrating.
Oh, I can totally relate to that, Jack. I've had the exact same experience with French and German. But here's the good news. We're going to share some really practical techniques that actually work.
That's right, and we're going to make it really practical for you. These are strategies that you can start using immediately, whether you're preparing for an exam or just want to improve your everyday English.
So whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here. We're going to dive deep into the science of memory and, most importantly, how you can apply it to learn vocabulary more effectively.
Let's dive right in.
So, Jack, before we get into the specific techniques, let's talk about the basics. How does memory actually work? Because I think a lot of learners don't really understand the science behind it.
That's a great question, Anna. You know, I read a lot about this when I was struggling with my Spanish vocabulary, and what I learned really changed my perspective. Basically, our memory has different stages. There's the short-term memory, which can hold information for just a few seconds, and then there's long-term memory, which can store information for years, maybe even a lifetime.
Oh, wow. So that's why we forget things so quickly. It's like our brain is designed to only keep important information.
Exactly. It's actually a survival mechanism. Our brains are constantly filtering out information that it thinks isn't important. So when you memorize a list of words just once, your brain might categorize them as not important and let them fade away.
That makes sense, but it's kind of discouraging, isn't it? I mean, how do we convince our brains that vocabulary is important?
The key is repetition and meaningful connection. That's where all those memory techniques come in. But here's something really interesting. There's this concept called spaced repetition, and it's been shown to be incredibly effective for language learning.
Spaced repetition? I've heard of that, but can you explain how it works?
Sure. So instead of cramming all your review into one session, you spread it out over time. Like you might review new words after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks, and so on. Each time you review, the memory becomes stronger and lasts longer.
Impressed. That sounds really smart. I used to just review my vocabulary lists repeatedly in one sitting, thinking that was the best way, but I guess that was actually working against me.
Yeah, guilty as charged. I did the same thing for years. I would spend hours going over the same list over and over, and then wonder why I couldn't remember anything the next day. It was so frustrating.
You know, I think that's something a lot of learners can relate to. We all feel like we need to put in more time, more effort, but sometimes working smarter is better than working harder.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, how to work smarter, not harder, when it comes to vocabulary learning.
I'm so excited to share these tips with our listeners. Let's continue.
Okay, so let's get into the actual techniques. Anna, what's one that has really worked for you?
I love this one. It's all about creating mental images. So instead of just reading the word and its definition, you create a vivid mental picture in your head. And the weirder and more ridiculous the image, the better.
Wait, ridiculous? That sounds fun. Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say you want to remember the word elephant. Instead of just thinking of a regular elephant, you could picture a tiny elephant wearing a top hat and dancing on a unicycle. The sillier, the more memorable.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. But would that actually help me remember the word?
Actually, yes. Our brains are really good at remembering visual and emotional content. So when you create a crazy image like that, you're creating multiple connections in your brain. You're not just remembering the word, you're remembering the image, and the word is linked to that image.
That's actually really clever. I never thought of it that way. So it's like building a mental story around each word.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a full story either. Sometimes just a single vivid image is enough. Like for the word serendipity, which means finding something good without looking for it, you could picture yourself walking down the street and accidentally stepping in a pile of gold. That would be serendipity, right?
Oh, that would be amazing. But wait, wouldn't that be more like luck?
Good question. That's actually a common mistake. Serendipity is specifically about finding something valuable when you weren't looking for it. So the image would be more like finding a $20 bill in an old coat pocket, or meeting the love of your life when you just went to the grocery store.
Ah, I see. So it's not just any good luck. It's good luck that comes from an accidental discovery. That's really helpful to know.
Right. And that's another benefit of this technique. When you create these mental images, you're not just memorizing the word, you're understanding its meaning and nuance. You're learning it in context.
You know what? I think I'm going to start using this technique. It sounds much more fun than just writing words over and over in a notebook.
It really is fun. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Your brain gets really good at creating these images quickly.
How long does it take to get good at it? Like a few weeks?
I'd say give it about 2 weeks of consistent practice. At first, it might feel a bit awkward or slow, but after a while, your brain just starts doing it automatically. It's like building a muscle.
I love that analogy. So it's a skill that we can develop over time. That's really motivating. Okay, so we've talked about visual images. What about connecting new words to words we already know? I've heard that can be really helpful too.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my favorite techniques. It's all about association, finding connections between the new word and something you already know. This could be a word in your native language, or another English word, or a personal experience, anything at all.
So it's like creating a mental bridge between what you know and what you're trying to learn?
Exactly. And there are a few different ways to do this. One is through word roots, like if you know the word happy, you can guess that happiness means the state of being happy. Or if you know photograph, you know that photographer is someone who takes photographs.
That makes sense. It's like building on what you already know instead of starting from zero every time.
Exactly. And another technique is creating associations with words in your native language. This is especially helpful if your native language has similar sounding words. Like in Chinese, the word for bus sounds a bit like the English word, so you can connect them.
Oh, that's really smart. I never thought about using my native language that way. What about words that don't have any obvious connection, though?
Great question. That's where you get to be creative. You can create silly associations or even rhymes. Like for the word ubiquitous, which means existing everywhere, you could think of it as you being everywhere. Get it? You, by, quit, us.
Oh, that's so cheesy, but I love it. It's like a little mental joke that helps you remember.
Exactly. And the sillier, the better. Your brain loves humor and unusual connections. That's what makes memories stick.
You know, I think this is why I sometimes remember lyrics to songs from 30 years ago, but can't remember vocabulary I studied last week. The songs had rhythm, humor, and emotion attached to them.
That's such a good point, Jack. Music is actually a form of association, too. The rhythm, the melody, the emotion, all of that creates multiple connections in your brain. That's why some people recommend learning vocabulary through songs or chants.
So, would you recommend that our listeners create their own little songs or rhymes for difficult words?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a professional song or anything, just a simple rhyme or even a little tune you hum while reviewing the word. The more senses you engage, the better.
I have to admit, I've never tried that before. I always thought it might be too childish or silly. But if it works, why not?
There's nothing childish about using effective learning strategies. In fact, some of the most successful memory techniques are the ones that seem a bit unconventional. Don't be afraid to get creative.
Okay, so we've talked about images and associations. What about learning words in context? I've heard that's really important too.
Oh, this is huge, Jack. Learning words in isolation, just the word and its definition, is one of the least effective ways to memorize vocabulary. But when you learn words in context, like in sentences or conversations, you understand how they're actually used in real life.
So instead of just memorizing that ubiquitous means existing everywhere, I should see it used in actual sentences?
Exactly. And not just one sentence, but ideally several different sentences in different contexts. That way you understand all the nuances. You learn what collocates with the word, what words usually go with it, and what situations you might use it in.
Can you give us an example?
Sure, let's take the word breakthrough. If you just learn the definition, you know it means a sudden increase in knowledge or progress. But if you see it in context, you'd learn that you say a breakthrough in medicine, a breakthrough in negotiations, or make a breakthrough. You'd also learn that it's usually used for significant discoveries or achievements.
Oh, I see. So it's not just about knowing the meaning, it's about knowing how to use it correctly in conversation.
Exactly. And that's where a lot of learners get stuck. They know the meaning of a word, but they don't know how to use it naturally. That's why reading and listening to authentic English is so helpful.
So, would you recommend that learners read as much as possible?
Definitely. But not just any reading. Try to read materials that are slightly above your level. That way, you're challenging yourself, but still understanding most of the content. And when you encounter new words, don't immediately look them up. Try to guess the meaning from context first. Then, check your guess afterward.
That's interesting. I used to look up every single word I didn't know. Is that not a good approach?
It's not the worst thing, but it can slow down your reading and interrupt your comprehension. Plus, by guessing from context first, you're actually practicing your inference skills, which is really important for language learning.
So it's like a workout for my brain. I have to figure things out instead of just being handed the answers.
Exactly. And when you do look up the word, make a note of it and review it later using some of the techniques we talked about. That's how you turn passive vocabulary into active vocabulary.
I love that. So it's not just about reading a lot, it's about being an active reader and engaging with the language.
Absolutely. And another tip is to keep a vocabulary journal. Whenever you learn a new word, write down the sentence where you found it. That way, when you review it, you're not just seeing the word in isolation, you're seeing it in context again.
That's such a simple but effective idea. I think I'm going to start doing that. Okay, we've talked about a lot of different techniques, but what about digital tools and apps? I know there are a lot of vocabulary learning apps out there. Do they actually help?
Oh, yes, there are some really amazing apps and tools that can supercharge your vocabulary learning, and many of them are based on the spaced repetition system we mentioned earlier. Anki is one of the most popular ones.
Anki, I've heard of that. How does it work?
Anki is a flashcard app that uses spaced repetition. You create cards with a word on one side and the definition on the other. Then the app shows you the cards at optimal intervals, just when you're about to forget them. This way, you maximize your review time and strengthen the memories that are fading.
Wait, so the app decides when I should review? I don't have to worry about timing?
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. You just review the cards when they show up, and the algorithm handles the rest. It's been scientifically proven to be much more effective than traditional study methods.
That's incredible. Are there other apps like this?
Yes, Quizlet is another popular one. It has a feature called Learn Mode that adapts to your responses. There's also Memrise, which combines spaced repetition with video clips of native speakers using the words in context.
I've used Quizlet before. I didn't know about the Learn mode, though. I'll have to try that.
Definitely give it a try. And the key with these apps is consistency. Even if you only have 10 minutes a day, doing it every day is going to be more effective than doing an hour once a week.
That's a good point. I think a lot of us fall into the trap of thinking we need long study sessions, but short, consistent practice is actually better.
Absolutely. And another thing I want to mention is that these tools are great, but they're not magic. They're a supplement to your learning, not a replacement. You still need to read, listen, speak, and write in English. The apps help with memorization, but you need real exposure to the language to truly master it.
That's a really important point. It's easy to think that if just use an app, we'll become fluent, but it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. Think of it as one tool in your toolkit. Use it alongside other methods, and you'll see much better results.
Do you have any tips for setting up these apps effectively?
Great question. First, when you create your flashcards, include example sentences. Don't just put the word in the definition. Include a sentence from a real source, like a book or a TV show. Second, add audio if possible. Hearing the pronunciation helps reinforce the memory. And finally, don't add too many new cards at once. Quality over quantity.
That's really helpful advice. I think I was adding way too many cards at once, and that's why I felt overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a common mistake. Try limiting yourself to 10 new cards a day. That might not sound like much, but over a year, that's over 3,000 new words.
Wow, that's actually a lot. I never thought of it that way.
And with spaced repetition, you'll retain most of them. It's a really efficient way to learn.
Okay, we've covered a lot of techniques for memorizing words, but what about actually using them? I feel like I learn so many words, but then I never use them in a conversation.
Oh, that's such an important point, Jack. That's the difference between passive vocabulary, words you understand when you read or hear them, and active vocabulary, words you can use when you speak or write. And a lot of learners have a big gap between the two.
So how do we turn passive vocabulary into active vocabulary?
The key is practice. Actually using the words in real contexts. One really effective method is to speak the words out loud. Don't just read them silently in your head. Say them out loud. Use them in sentences. Have conversations with yourself.
Have conversations with myself? That sounds a little crazy.
It might feel silly at first, but it really works. You can pretend you're explaining something to a friend, or you can narrate what you're doing. Like if you're cooking, you can say things like, "First, I need to chop the vegetables," or "The sauce is simmering now." Use the new words you've learned.
So just by talking to myself throughout the day, I can practice using new vocabulary?
Absolutely. And another great technique is to describe your day in English. At the end of each day, spend 5 minutes summarizing what happened. Try to use new words you've learned. This is a fantastic way to consolidate vocabulary and make it part of your active memory.
That's a really practical idea. I think I'm going to try that starting today.
Great! And don't forget about writing, too. Keeping a journal in English is an excellent way to practice using new words. You can write about anything, your thoughts, your day, your opinions on a movie you watched. The more you use the words, the more natural they'll become.
What about when we're talking to native speakers? Any tips for actually using new words in conversation?
That's a great question. One thing I recommend is to prepare a few new words before a conversation. Maybe you're going to meet a friend for coffee. Think of 2 or 3 new words you'd like to practice and make a conscious effort to use them in the conversation. Even if it feels forced at first, that's okay. The more you do it, the easier it becomes.
That's such good advice. I always feel nervous about using new words because I'm worried I'll make mistakes, but I guess that's part of the learning process.
Absolutely. Making mistakes is how we learn, and native speakers are usually very understanding and supportive. Plus, they'll probably be impressed that you're actively trying to expand your vocabulary.
That's true. I think I've been too hard on myself. I need to give myself permission to make mistakes.
We all do. And remember, even native speakers don't know every word in the dictionary. Language learning is a lifelong journey, and every new word you learn is an achievement to be proud of.
Okay, now it's time for our vocabulary breakdown. We're going to look at some really useful phrases related to memory and learning.
Yes, these are phrases that you'll hear native speakers use all the time. Let's dive in.
First one,
Memrise. This means to commit something to memory, to learn it so you can remember it. Example, I need to memorize these vocabulary words before the test. Alternative, to learn by heart or to commit to memory. Common mistake. Don't confuse memorize with memory. Memorize is a verb, Memory is a noun.
Good point. What's next?
To look up. This means to search for information, usually in a dictionary or online. Example, I don't know this word. Let me look it up. Alternative, to check or to search for. Common mistake. Don't say look it up without the up. It sounds unnatural.
What's another useful phrase?
To come across. This means to find or discover something by accident. Example, I came across this interesting article while browsing the internet. Alternative, to stumble upon or to run into. Common mistake. Don't confuse come across with come over. They have different meanings.
That's a great one. What about phrases for describing learning strategies?
To pick up. This means to learn something casually or without effort. Example, she picked up Spanish while living in Mexico. Alternative, to learn naturally or to acquire. Common mistake. Don't use it for formal or intentional learning. It's more for casual learning.
I love that phrase. What's next?
To wrap your head around. This means to understand something, especially something complicated. Example, it took me a while to wrap my head around the concept of spaced repetition. Alternative, to get your head around or to grasp. Common mistake. This is an informal expression. Don't use it in formal writing.
That's such a fun expression. What else?
To drill. This means to practice something repeatedly. Example, we drilled the pronunciation until it sounded natural. Alternative, to practice or to rehearse. Common mistake. Don't overuse drill. It can sound too mechanical. Use it sparingly.
Okay, what about phrases for describing memory?
To slip someone's mind. This means to forget something. Example, I'm sorry, it slipped my mind to call you back. Alternative, to forget or to escape one's memory. Common mistake. The structure is always, it slips someone's mind. Don't change it.
That's a really common expression. What's another?
To have a memory like a sieve. This means to forget things very easily. Example, I have a memory like a sieve. I forget everything. Alternative, to be forgetful or to have a bad memory. Common mistake. This is a humorous expression. Don't use it in serious contexts.
Oh, that's funny. I can definitely relate to that.
Me too. Let's continue.
What's next?
To be on the tip of your tongue. This means to almost remember something, but not quite. Example, what's that actress's name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Alternative, to almost remember. Common mistake. Don't say at the tip of your tongue. It has to be on.
That's such a common situation. What about learning strategies?
To go over. This means to review or study something again. Example, let's go over the vocabulary before the exam. Alternative, to review or to revisit. Common mistake. Don't confuse with to go through. They have slightly different meanings.
Good to know. What else?
To keep something in mind. This means to remember something, usually a piece of advice. Example, keep in mind that practice makes perfect. Alternative, to remember or to bear in mind. Common mistake, don't say keep in your mind. It's always keep in mind.
That's a really useful phrase. Any more?
To learn something by heart. This means to memorize something completely. Example, the students had to learn the poem by heart. Alternative, to memorize or to commit to memory. Common mistake. This is a fixed expression. Don't change it to learn by heart with other words.
That's a classic expression. What about describing difficulty?
To be a piece of cake. This means something is very easy. Example, the test was a piece of cake. Alternative, to be easy or to be a breeze. Common mistake. This is informal. Don't use it in formal situations.
I love that expression. What's the opposite?
To be a challenge or to be challenging. This means something is difficult. Example, learning grammar can be a challenge, but don't give up. Alternative, to be difficult or to be tough. Common mistake. Don't say it's challenging me. Say it's challenging or it's a challenge.
Great distinction. Any final phrases?
To make progress. This means to improve or get better. Example, I'm making progress with my English. Alternative, to improve or to advance. Common mistake. Don't say make a progress. Progress is uncountable.
That's a really positive phrase. And last one?
To stay motivated. This means to keep your enthusiasm and drive. Example, how do you stay motivated to learn new words? Alternative, to keep going or to remain inspired. Common mistake, don't confuse motivated with motivating. They're different.
Those are all such useful phrases. Thanks for breaking them down, Anna.
You're welcome, Jack. These are phrases that will really help you sound more natural in English.
Now it's time for our reflection questions. These are questions for you to think about after the episode. Take a moment to consider each one.
First question, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to memorizing new vocabulary? Is it finding the time to study, staying motivated, or something else? Think about what specifically makes vocabulary learning difficult for you.
Second question, which of the techniques we discussed today are you most excited to try? Will you start creating mental images, using spaced repetition apps, or trying to learn words in context? Pick one and commit to trying it this week.
Third question, how often do you currently review vocabulary? Do you have a regular study schedule, or do you study in bursts when you have time? Think about how you can incorporate more consistent, spaced repetition into your routine.
Fourth question, do you tend to learn words in isolation or in context? Think about your current study habits. How can you add more contextual learning through reading, listening, or writing? Think of one way to use vocabulary actively every day.
Fifth question, how comfortable are you with making mistakes when using new vocabulary in conversation? Think about how you can give yourself permission to make mistakes and see them as part of the learning process.
Sixth question, do you use any vocabulary learning apps or tools? If not, which one would you like to try? If yes, how can you use it more effectively?
How can you incorporate more active practice into your daily life? Can you describe your day in English, keep a journal, or narrate your activities? Think of one way to use vocabulary actively, every day.
Remember the phrase to make progress? Set a specific vocabulary goal for yourself this month. How many new words do you want to learn? How will you measure your progress?
How can you use association techniques to remember words? Think of a difficult word you're trying to learn right now. Can you create a silly image or connection to help you remember it?
And finally, 10th question. What is one thing you learned today that you want to remember? Take a moment to review it in your mind. Use the memory techniques we discussed to make it stick.
Well, that's all for today's episode. We hope you found some useful tips for improving your vocabulary memory.
Absolutely. Remember, the key is to find what works for you. Not every technique will resonate with everyone, so experiment and see which ones fit your learning style.
And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Language learning is a journey, and every small step counts. Even learning one new word a day adds up to over 300 new words in a year.
That's a great point, Anna. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Every word you learn is an achievement.
Thanks so much for listening to the English Daily Podcast. We really appreciate your support.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the episode. It really helps us reach more learners.
Curious, what topic should we cover next time? Let us know in the comments.
We'll see you next time. Keep practicing and keep growing.
Bye for now, English learners. Take care.
Bye.
Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.